I am Paul Rogers, 52 winters behind me, heart still pumping with a certain vigor. My home sits in a quiet suburb not far from Seattle, wide streets and friendly neighbors, the kind of neighborhood where neighbors wave but rarely dig into each other's affairs. I have lived here for 2 decades, half of those years spent with my wife Lauren. She has worked as a legal consultant at Redwood and Brant, a well-known firm with impressive high-rise offices downtown. I have managed construction projects for a big contracting outfit for a lifetime. Our finances appeared stable, our social circle rather modest, our life ordinary. I came home that Tuesday evening later than usual. My truck rumbled into our driveway, while evening lights glowed behind our curtains. The day's tension had weighed on my shoulders. A team of inspectors delayed one of my projects, requiring me to spend hours sorting official documents in a cramped site trailer. My stomach rumbled, ready for a quick dinner, craving the silent comfort of my own kitchen. I stepped inside and breathed in that familiar space, though it felt strangely cold. My living room greeted me with the same old couch, a second-hand coffee table I had polished long ago, and a few framed snapshots from distant vacations. The only lamp shining there revealed leftover dust swirling through the air. Near the armchair, I spotted a messy stack of folders. Lauren's new responsibilities involved plenty of documents crossing our threshold. She never left them scattered. That small detail stirred a hint of unease deep inside me. "Lauren." My voice echoed in the silence. No reply. I approached the table, eyed the scattered papers, depositions, payroll accounts, and one page with an internal Redwood and Brant watermark. She had scribbled short notes in the margin, references to upcoming meetings. She rarely forgot to tuck those pages in her briefcase. Perhaps she hurried out this morning, possibly overslept, rushed out the door. I wandered toward our kitchen, uncertain if I would find a single crumb of dinner. The cabinets loomed in shadows, quiet in their steady presence. My daily routine involved yanking off these heavy boots, dropping my jacket, grabbing a beer. So I did. The beer tasted bitter on my tongue, or maybe it was my own mood that soured it. As I finished my drink, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Vince, a longtime friend who dabbles in private investigations. We once crossed paths on a complicated construction case, forging an unlikely bond. "Paul, something weird surfaced. Read his message. Might matter to you. Redwood and Brant scandal." My chest tightened. Redwood and Brant scandal. My wife's office. I had no illusions about big law firms. They have skeletons in the closet. Lawsuits, harassment claims, financial misdeeds. But something about Vince's tone suggested something personal. I fired a quick response. "Call me." Within minutes, his voice crackled through the phone. "Paul, I stumbled on a short video," he said, choosing his words with caution. "Came from an internal security feed at Redwood and Brant. A friend on their 8 team flagged it." I recognized Lauren. She seemed not alone in that conference room. I steadied my breathing, even as my pulse jumped. "Who was with her?" He paused, exhaling. "A coworker, from what I can gather. Not sure if it's anything serious, but your wife appeared close. Let's put it that way." "Send the clip," I said in a low voice. He hesitated. "You sure? It's not random gossip. This can hurt you." "Do it." He hung up. I sensed my heart pounding faster than usual. Something about the situation triggered an old instinct in me, an alertness from days spent facing bigger threats. I sank onto the worn couch, beer can trembling in my grip. My gaze roamed around the living room, landing on the framed wedding photo perched on our mantel. That memory had once filled me with pride. Lauren's bright eyes, my confident grin. 18 years ago, we believed in eternity. I heard a soft chime on my phone. Vince had delivered the file. My thumb hovered over the screen for a moment. An uneasy breath rasped through my chest. Then I opened it. A grainy image showed Redwood and Brant's empty conference room. The date stamp pointed to last Thursday, 10:17 p.m. Dim overhead lights flickered. A wide table stood in the center with chairs pushed aside. Lauren stepped into frame, followed by a tall silhouette in a crisp suit. My eyes narrowed. That shape belonged to Brian Ortiz, a junior partner I encountered once at the firm's holiday party. He had a strong handshake, a grin that felt too broad. The video had no sound, but their behavior spoke volumes. She placed a stack of folders on the table, presumably discussing something. Ortiz leaned in, touched her shoulder. She didn't retreat. I watched him circle behind her, press his mouth on her neck. She hesitated, half-heartedly turned, though not with any sign of outrage. After a second, she faced him and parted her lips. They merged in a kiss that deepened with alarming speed. Her hand slid along his jacket lapels, tugging him closer. He responded by lifting her, setting her on the table. In that moment, my entire body tensed. I almost dropped the phone. My throat burned, and a strange chill spread from my chest to my gut. I allowed the video to continue. After a heated exchange of caresses, they paused, possibly discussing something. Then they continued. Her blouse parted, his tie loosened. The footage cut off at a crucial point, but the implication was obvious. They had done more than flirt. I stared at the blank screen, mind blank. The video hammered a single truth into me. Lauren had crossed a line, possibly more than once. The content unsettled me. My wife, the woman I trusted, the mother of my grown daughter who had moved out a year ago. 18 years of loyalty, dissolving in under 3 minutes of low-resolution footage. Darkness swirled in my thoughts. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I stood, phone in hand, uncertain how I would confront her. That messy stack of documents near the armchair teased me. Redwood and Brandt letterhead on many pages, deadlines scrawled across them. She must have known what she was doing. Why risk everything for that worthless partner who chased skirts around the office? Fury ignited inside me. My phone buzzed again. Vince, I picked up with an unsteady hand. Paul, you saw it. His voice came through with a gentle tone. I swallowed hard. Yeah. A pause. I'm sorry, man. Didn't want to be the messenger. There's also chatter. The clip got leaked to a local blog. Not sure who posted it, but the rumor is it might explode soon. I pictured Redwood and Brandt's big building, the corridors, the stairs, the gossip swirling. Word spreads fast in that environment. Lauren might already be bracing for fallout. I appreciate the heads up, I said. He cleared his throat. If you want me to do more digging, I can see what else is floating around. Do it, I responded in a clipped tone. Let me handle my end. I ended the call. My reflection in the TV screen captured a hard expression, eyebrows locked, mouth clenched. For a moment, I recalled old advice from my father. Never leap to action with your mind clouded. Instead, gather facts, gather strength, strike with precision. Lauren's arrival cut through my dark reflection. The front door opened, and she stepped inside wearing a charcoal business skirt and a light blouse, hair pinned back in a sleek style. Her eyes shifted toward the couch, meeting my gaze. She set her briefcase near the entry. You're home early, she observed in a low voice, drifting closer, uncertain. An awkward hush pressed between us. I exhaled, then forced my words out. You left some documents scattered. Thought I'd check them. She glanced at the table, cheeks flushing. Long day. Management demanded extra reports. I stayed late again. Her mention of a late evening triggered a wave of raw rage inside me. I studied her posture. Her lips held a faint line of pink lipstick, and the top button of her blouse hung loose. The entire image shot through me like a bullet. In that instant, I recognized the magnitude of what she had done. I swallowed my bitterness. You hungry? She offered a nod, though her expression appeared uneasy. I could eat something. Let me drop my heels off. She disappeared down the hallway, her footsteps fading. I sat on the couch again. My phone remained in my hand, that cursed video still in my messages. My entire life had veered off its safe track, courtesy of a short, grainy clip. I forced myself to stand and shuffle into the kitchen. My hands trembled a bit as I grabbed leftovers from the fridge. Lauren emerged moments later. We avoided direct eye contact, standing across the counter in silence, an invisible wall between us. "You okay, Paul?" she asked. "You're quiet tonight." "Work hassles," I murmured. "We'll talk later." She appeared ready to push for details, but something about my voice must have scared her off. She nodded once, lips pressed together. I threw together a makeshift supper, then we ate with minimal conversation. Each minute magnified the tension. My mind drifted back to that recording again and again, replaying her body pressed against Ortiz. I felt no desire to bring it up at that instant, not with the sting so fresh. I needed time to think. After supper, she removed her plates, stepped away to her laptop in the living room, presumably to handle more Redwood and Brant tasks. I retreated to our bedroom. The bedspread looked the same, but the warmth we once had felt miles away. I glanced at the wedding photo on our dresser. Me in a classic tux, her in an ivory gown. Two naive individuals who promised honesty forever. I sank onto the bed, phone lying next to me, mind spinning. Even a proud man can sense the blade of betrayal slicing through his core. An unstoppable chain of events had set itself in motion. I resolved to gather facts, keep my composure. Then I would decide how to respond. That unwavering vow guided me. My father once said real men do not allow a single wave of anger to drown their common sense. My father was right. I heard Lauren's soft footsteps outside the bedroom. My fists tightened. I fought the urge to confront her on the spot. Too soon, I told myself. I would extract the entire truth, and I would plan my response with precision. A corner of my mind already whispered about retribution, though I forced it aside. More steps, more breathing, more tension. Another day in this house, but everything had changed. The following morning arrived with a suffocating heaviness. Lauren rose early, showered, dressed in a tailored navy suit. I remained under the covers, eyes half open, listening to the hush of water from behind the bathroom door. My mind replayed the images from the video, stirring my pulse. A wave of anger threatened my composure. When she emerged from the bathroom, she avoided my gaze. Perhaps she sensed my simmering mood. Silence settled as she sat before the mirror, applying mascara with rigid concentration. Those movements reminded me how she once joked about her morning routine. That memory felt distant. I realized a shift had occurred. We had stepped into unknown territory. I mustered words before she left. "I have a question." She paused with her car keys in hand. "Sure." I forced a calm tone. "Were you working late at Redwood and Brant last Thursday?" Her lips parted slightly. She nodded once. "Had a stack of client briefs. Is something wrong?" I stared at her for a moment. "Late nights can invite complications." She swallowed. "You're not one for cryptic talk." I studied her expression. Part of me considered hurling accusations, describing every detail I had witnessed. Yet I waited. "We can discuss it after your shift. You go handle your day." She hesitated at the threshold of the bedroom. "All right," she whispered, then headed out. I listened to her footsteps fade down the hallway. The front door clicked shut. My mind swirled. That sense of betrayal weighed on me like a lead vest. I got up, pulled on my jeans, and rummaged for a clean shirt. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the hall, though she likely brewed it for herself. I skipped breakfast. A swirling rage replaced any appetite. I climbed into my truck. The engine rumbled beneath me, a comforting mechanical roar. My route took me toward the industrial side of town, where a half-constructed warehouse demanded supervision. Iron supports rose from muddy soil, crane arms pivoted overhead. At the sight, I greeted my crew with curt nods. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Vince once more. "Paul, that clip is moving around online. The local blog is stirring interest. Redwood and Brant's top brass scrambles. Someone recognized your wife. There's speculation about who the guy might be. My chest tightened. How big is it? Big enough for rumor sites. The post has hundreds of comments. They blurred faces, but employees inside Redwood and Brant suspect the individuals. The male figure is definitely Ortiz. He's already under internal review. I clenched my teeth. Understood. Let me handle my side. I ended the call, ignoring the suspicious glances from a couple of my crew. My gaze shifted toward the half-finished structure, steel beams glinting in morning light. I inhaled cool air, grounding myself in work for a moment. Yet my thoughts refused to settle. Redwood and Brant's meltdown might trap Lauren in a harsh storm. She would face scorn from executives, lose credibility, and endure whispers from every corner. Despite my fury, part of me still felt concern for her career. But another part seethed, demanding punishment for her betrayal. I spoke to the site foreman, then retreated to my trailer, sitting among blueprints. Work should have occupied my thoughts, but frustration plagued me. I needed to confirm how far this affair had gone, or if it was merely a single episode. A single episode was enough, though. One breach of trust can demolish a marriage. The day dragged. By mid-afternoon, I received a text from Lauren. Staying late. Firm in crisis. Will explain soon. She never once apologized or indicated guilt. She sounded panicked over the meltdown, not over the hurt she had inflicted. I typed out a lengthy reply, accusing her, but eventually deleted it. No, I needed to confront her in person. The second half of my workday blurred, overshadowed by the storm raging inside my head. My patience wore thin. Everyone on site noticed my short temper. By 6 o'clock, I departed, ignoring some undone tasks. My truck roared onto the highway, heading straight home. I parked in our driveway, scanning the quiet street with a surge of bitterness. I stepped inside the house, flipping on a few lights. A half-hour passed. No sign of Lauren. 7 turned into 8, no messages. Her usual habit of texting updates had vanished. Possibly she felt cornered at Redwood and Brant, forced to keep a low profile. Frustration gnawed at me. By 9, I tossed aside any hope for a calm talk that evening. I rummaged in the fridge for leftover pasta, not because I felt hungry, but to fill the emptiness. A thick tension pressed on my shoulders. Around 10, the doorknob rattled. Lauren entered, hair disheveled, eyes ringed with exhaustion. She removed her heels without a word. We locked eyes from across the living room, though neither of us spoke at once. Finally, I broke the standoff. I heard Redwood and Brant is under a microscope. She let out a long exhale. Yeah. Anonymous blogger leaked a security video. Human Resources summoned half the staff for questioning. I rose from the couch, posture rigid. Does that concern you directly? Her gaze flickered, guilt swirling in her eyes. I am part of the chaos. They want me to help with damage control. I took a step toward her. Damage control. My voice tightened. She trembled, fingers curling over the strap of her purse. I saw the clip. Someone showed me at the office. A coworker recognized me. She paused, lips quivering. I made a bad decision. A spike of fury pulsed through me. A bad decision. Is that your explanation? She set her purse on the table. Brian and I had drinks after a late meeting. Work stress, deadlines. Everything piled up. He made a pass. I didn't push him away. It happened once, I swear. My head pounded. That's your excuse. Pressure at work. She lowered her gaze. I never planned for it. I never wanted to destroy our marriage. I advanced on her. Then why risk our life together for a cheap fling in a conference room? She flinched. It was stupid. I never intended to continue. When Redwood and Brant discovered the clip, I panicked. My voice rose. Panic. You caused this. Now Redwood and Brant is dealing with the fallout. You're dealing with shame. And I'm furious. She turned away, hugging her arms. They demanded statements. Brian told them it was consensual. I confirmed it. HR threatened suspensions. I exhaled a ragged breath. So your big concern is HR, not my heartbreak. Her shoulders slumped. I'm sorry. A moment of silence passed, thick with tension. I could smell her perfume, the same floral scent she once used for romantic nights with me. It burned my senses. I forced calm into my tone. I saw the clip, from start to finish. Don't lie about it being a minor slip. She eyed me with alarm. You have it. Someone I trust sent it. The entire internet has it, apparently. Guess Redwood and Brant's entire staff can watch it too. She covered her mouth, eyes glassy. I have no excuse. My fury escalated, but I refused to lose control. I hammered each word with precision. 18 years we spent together. This is what you do. Tears gleamed in her eyes. She attempted to speak, but no words emerged. I pivoted away, fists clenched. Your regret comes too late. Her voice quavered. Paul, I never wanted to push you away. We can fix this, can't we? I turned, voice sharp. Fix? You're delusional. My pride, my trust, gone. Redwood and Brant will reduce you to a scandalous footnote. Your lover will walk away smiling or face disciplinary action. Who cares? Meanwhile, I'm left with a wrecked home life. Her breathing faltered. I'm sorry. An angry laugh burst out of me. Sorry doesn't mend a shattered bond. I have no intention of letting this slide. You have no idea who I am when cornered, Lauren. She shrank away from my fury, stepping behind the chair. What does that mean? I pressed a hand against my temple, fighting the urge to unleash every ounce of rage at once. My father's words echoed in my mind. Gather facts. Strike with cunning. With that approach, I could hit them both harder than a wild outburst ever could. I glared at her. Go to sleep. Tomorrow, we talk details. And believe me, I will lay out terms you won't enjoy. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then hastened toward the bedroom. I heard the door click shut. I remained in the living room, chest heaving, adrenaline surging. I realized the unstoppable momentum of my vengeance had taken root. They humiliated me in that filthy conference room. They laughed behind closed doors. Now the entire firm gossiped. My wife shamed me. Brian Ortiz needed to pay. I paced around the living room, each step fueling my anger. I considered possibilities, legal angles, personal intimidation, strategic sabotage. The Redwood and Brant meltdown might give me a perfect path. I slammed my fist against the wall, ignoring the burst of pain. Tomorrow, I would begin orchestrating a plan. I possessed enough cunning to dismantle their illusions and leave them gasping. Lauren might beg for mercy, but that was no longer my concern. Sunlight glinted through the blinds the next morning, though the atmosphere felt grim. I stirred awake on the couch, head throbbing, muscles stiff from the cramped position. Lauren's presence lingered somewhere in the house, but we had avoided each other overnight. My phone displayed a series of texts from Vince, each referencing Redwood and Brant rumors. I rose and found Lauren in the kitchen, stifling tears, hair uncombed. She sipped coffee and stared at the counter. That image tugged at me for a second. She looked frail, defeated. I brushed aside any compassion. She turned when she sensed me. I have an HR meeting at noon. I poured black coffee into a mug, ignoring the bitter bite. They're probably building a case, deciding whether to terminate you. She nodded. Brian faces the same. It's a scandal. I set the mug down. Fitting punishment. She squirmed, placing her mug aside. Paul, we need a plan. Our finances rely on my salary, plus your job. If Redwood and Brant fires me, I raised a hand, cutting her off. You chose your path. Live with it. Now, about us. I paused, feeling the burn of rage in my gut. Consider us finished. I aim to proceed with divorce. She swallowed. Divorce? I sneered. What did you expect? A weekend seminar to patch things up. Her eyes glistened, but I refused to relent. I'll handle the legal details. Redwood and Brant, ironically, has plenty of attorneys who can direct you. But guess what? I won't settle for an amicable arrangement. I'll make you pay. She wrapped her arms around herself, voice trembling. We shared nearly 2 decades. That has to matter. I leaned forward, voice low. You threw it away the moment you locked lips with that snake. Don't lecture me on significance. A long silence stretched between us. I finished my coffee, slammed the mug in the sink. Enjoy your HR meeting. I strode out of the kitchen, not caring whether she spoke again. My phone rang as I reached the driveway. Vince, I answered with a grunt. He sounded uneasy. Paul, Redwood and Brant's senior executives scheduled a public statement. The blog pulled the clip, but it already spread across various platforms. I opened the driver's door. Lauren has an HR hearing. Ortiz too, apparently. Vince exhaled. Word is, the firm wants to avoid lawsuits by disciplining both employees. Not sure about formal charges. They might hush it up. But it's messy. I fired up the engine. Messy works in my favor. Let them squirm. He paused. You plan to do anything drastic? I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. I plan to dismantle Ortiz and ruin Lauren's illusions. I will not be a fool in front of the entire city. Vince murmured, Don't get yourself in trouble, Paul. I ended the call without another word. My father once taught me how to gather intel. That skill might prove invaluable now. I drove to my job site. The steady hum of forklift motors droned across the yard as I met with my second-in-command, Todd. He had a thick beard and rough hands, loyal and discreet. He eyed me with concern. You look tense, he said. I shrugged. Got issues at home. He didn't pry further, which I respected. We walked the perimeter of the construction zone, checking progress. Steel beams rose from fresh concrete, walls half-framed. Men hammered away at wooden forms. My mind wandered from actual tasks. The thought of revenge fueled me, overshadowing everyday duties. Around lunchtime, I hopped in my truck and pulled into a diner parking lot. Inside, I prodded a plate of scrambled eggs while scanning local news on my phone. Redwood and Brant's meltdown had triggered online rumors. One post teased the possibility of multiple firm employees hooking up behind closed doors, but the main spotlight remained on the couple in the grainy video. Commenters speculated about the woman's identity, using partial screenshots with blurred faces. My blood boiled at every mention of that cheap fling. I made a decision. I texted Vince. Find Ortiz's background, personal info, any vulnerabilities. Within minutes, he replied. On it. I swallowed the last of my eggs and tossed cash on the table, stepping outside into bright sunshine. Rage simmered. If Redwood and Brant wouldn't handle him, I would handle him myself. Evening fell, and Lauren arrived home in a haze. I waited in the living room, arms crossed. She approached, flinching when our eyes met. I spoke first. HR hearing done. She nodded, fingers trembling at her sides. They issued temporary suspensions for both of us. Investigation continues. Salary might be frozen. Brian got the same. I glared at her. No surprise. Her gaze darted toward the floor. I want to explain. He flirted with me weeks ago. I pushed him away. Then everything piled up. Deadlines, exhaustion, my growing frustration with our marriage. She paused, tears edging her eyes. I caved. I see how I destroyed everything now. I lifted my hand, halting her. Don't repeat that sob story. I plan to divorce you. I'm not some doormat who forgives a spineless partner. She stepped closer, voice cracking. Can we talk about property division, finances? My mouth curled in a half-smile. Oh, we will. But not tonight. I have other business. She recoiled, uncertain how to respond. I grabbed my truck keys and slipped outside, leaving her alone. My father's old lessons rang in my head. The best revenge is methodical. I aimed to deliver a blow to Ortiz's life and ensure Lauren's illusions of a clean break vanished. I cruised across the city, passing neon signs and crowded bars. That area thrived at night, where professionals gathered to gripe about workloads and chase casual connections. Redwood and Brant employees often frequented a spot called the Riverside Lounge. I parked near it, scanning the sidewalk. Inside, I spotted groups of men in suits, women in pencil skirts, laughter and loud chatter. My eyes swept across the patrons, searching for a face I might recognize. Part of me suspected Ortiz might show up, needing a stiff drink after his HR fiasco. Sure enough, nearly an hour later, he walked in. Crisp shirt, tie undone, hair styled in a slick wave. He slid onto a stool, ordered something strong. I settled in a corner booth, hat pulled low, observing him with cold interest. A woman from the firm approached him. She whispered, glancing around nervously. He shrugged, tossed back his drink, and followed her to an empty table. They leaned close, discussing something with urgent expressions. Possibly Redwood and Brant's next move, or hush money, or spin control. My stomach churned. When she left, Ortiz signaled the bartender for another round. After a quick text to Vince, I rose, approached him from behind. I slid onto the stool next to him. He turned, surprise lighting his features. "You're Paul, right?" I nodded, forcing an icy grin. "We met at the holiday party 2 years ago. Surprised you remember." He tried a casual smile. "You married Lauren. I remember you. Good to see you." I locked eyes with him. "Is it?" He squirmed. "Things are complicated right now." I let the silence hang for a few seconds. "Complicated for you, sure. Might become worse once Redwood and Brant concludes that investigation." He sipped his drink, eyes darting around. "Nothing personal. Man, Lauren is a grown woman. She came on to me as much as I came on to her." A growl rumbled in my throat. "You're proud of yourself. You found a bored wife, coaxed her into a conference room. Congratulations." He tensed. "Easy. I never forced anything." She was interested. I clenched my fists. She regrets it now, but regrets mean nothing to me. He raised both hands in a half-apology gesture. "I get it. You're pissed. But we're adults." My glare pinned him in place. Adults accept consequences. He lifted his drink, took a gulp, tried to muster confidence. "What are you after?" I leaned close, letting him glimpse the fury in my eyes. "You don't deserve Redwood and Brant's protection. I'm collecting details that might sink you. I have resources, friends in law enforcement, plus an appetite for payback." He exhaled shakily. "Is that a threat?" A cold laugh slipped out of me. "A promise. You humiliated me, took my wife, flaunted it in her workplace. Now you pay. I'm not talking about a punch in the mouth. That's too simple. I intend to make you bleed from every angle." His face blanched. He set his glass down. "I get it. I messed up. But you're going nuclear. We can handle this quietly." I rose from my stool. "Don't insult me by begging for mercy. When Redwood and Brant boots you, your next job prospects might vanish. Your reputation is heading for a trash heap." He said nothing, lips trembling. I turned and walked out. My heart pounded with savage triumph. The first stage had begun. I wanted him anxious, aware of the shadow creeping up behind him. In the truck, I received a message from Vince. I got Ortiz's personal data. He has gambling debts. Sizable. Might be relevant. My grin hardened. Perfect. That detail could be a lever to push him deeper into desperation. I typed a response. "Excellent. Keep digging." I drove home with a sense of grim resolve. The storm inside me remained fierce, but I channeled it into action. My father's voice echoed in my memory. "Strike them where they are vulnerable." Lauren had left a single lamp on in the living room. She must have holed up in the bedroom. I walked inside, the house quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. A single wedding photo glared at me from the bookshelf. I snatched it and flung it into a drawer. Our marriage had become a farce. I sank onto the couch. My mind reeled with possibilities. Destroying Ortiz might be the first step, but I refused to spare Lauren from consequences. My plan formed shape: divorce with minimal benefit to her, public humiliation, and a final exit that left me intact. Yes, I decided. This was the path forward. Morning sunlight spilled across the living room. I had dozed off again on the couch, phone resting on my chest. The memory of Ortiz's apprehensive face played in my mind, fueling my drive. I rose, knees creaking. Rage had transformed into calculated determination, like a hot coal glowing in my gut. Lauren was already gone. A note on the table read, "HR called me in early. We might face final decisions." She added a small apology scribbled in pen. Nothing more. I crumpled the note and tossed it aside. The time for apologies had passed. An hour later, my phone lit up. Vince again. Updates, Paul. Redwood and Brant suspended them indefinitely. Press found out, so it's in the local paper. Ortiz had a meltdown at the office, shouting at a senior partner. I smirked. He's unraveling fast. Vince hesitated. And Lauren. She's apparently in trouble too. Some employees are lobbying for her termination. Morale meltdown. Lost trust. Not sure how it will end. I exhaled, heading out the door. Thanks for the intel. Keep me posted. I reached my truck, climbing in. My next move involved contacting a divorce attorney recommended by a coworker. I wanted a legal approach that gave me the advantage. The attorney, Miss Parker, agreed to meet me at short notice. I drove across town, parked in front of a modest office suite. She greeted me with a firm handshake. Inside her office, I settled into a chair. Miss Parker wore a neat skirt suit, her posture confident. She flipped open a notepad. "Paul, your message indicated you want to file for divorce promptly, citing adultery. State laws factor in, but we can use strong evidence if you have it." I nodded. "I have a video. It's public knowledge now. My wife's affair with a coworker is at the center of Redwood and Brant's current scandal." Ms. Parker pursed her lips. "That definitely supports your position. We can request spousal support disclaimers, property settlement in your favor, especially if she caused you emotional or financial harm. Judges sometimes weigh heavy on a proven affair." I leaned forward. "I want a swift resolution. No second chances." She jotted notes. "We can push for a settlement that leaves you with the majority of assets, or we can fight in court. That might drag on, but you probably prevail." My eyes hardened. I want her to suffer the consequences. I want her to realize I won't bend. If Redwood and Brant fires her, fine. I'm done playing nice. Miss Parker gave a curt nod. "Understood. Let's gather paperwork. I'll file a petition. Once we serve her, we watch how she reacts." I rose, shook her hand. "Keep me updated. I'll supply any evidence you need." I left the office, a grim satisfaction coursing through me. One crucial step complete. My phone vibrated. Another message from Vince. Ortiz rumored to be meeting a loan shark tomorrow. Gambling debts pressing him. Potential meltdown. I typed a swift reply. "Locate them. I want more details." He answered, "Sure. My father had once told me. A cornered man makes mistakes. Ortiz's gambling habit placed him in a corner." Perfect. I spent the afternoon coordinating a final wave of documentation on my construction site, though my mind never strayed far from my personal vendetta. The sun dipped behind tall buildings as I called it a day. At home, Lauren's car was absent. Possibly she lingered at Redwood and Brant, or she refused to face me. Fine. I welcomed her avoidance, since I planned to deliver divorce papers soon. Late that night, she trudged inside. Eyes red, shoulders sagging. She hovered near the doorway, voice shaky. I lost my position. Official termination. Ortiz got the same. I stared at her, arms crossed. "Congratulations. You destroyed your career and our marriage in one swipe." She collapsed onto a chair. "They gave me severance, but it's small. I might struggle to find new work soon." I approached, looming over her. "Actions have consequences. You betrayed me, and Redwood and Brant kicked you out. Maybe you can reflect on your choices now." She pressed her hands against her temples. "I can't stand this. I've tried to apologize. You refuse to hear me." I barked a harsh laugh. "Apologies mean nothing. My lawyer will contact you with divorce papers soon." She gasped, eyes wide with anguish. "So it's final." I leaned in. "Yes, and I intend to crush any sympathy you hope for in court." She looked as though she might argue, but words failed her. She bolted to the bedroom, slamming the door. I paced the living room, fists clenched. The final confrontation was nearing, and I felt no pity. A day later, Vince signaled me. "Ortiz is meeting someone behind a casino on 5th Street. I can snap photos if you want." I thought for a second, then typed, "Yes. Document everything." That evening, my phone lit up with images. Ortiz exchanging an envelope with a heavy-set guy in a cheap suit, tense expressions, anxious postures, a perfect blackmail scenario in the making. I grinned. If Redwood and Brant had not already blacklisted him, these photos would drive another nail into his coffin. I paid Vince for his troubles and decided to finalize my next move. Lauren deserved no courtesy, and Ortiz deserved a personal taste of my wrath. I drove to that same casino area, parked in a shadowy spot. My father had taught me patience, so I waited until I spotted Ortiz stepping outside. He paced near a side exit, phone glued to his ear, raking his hand through his hair, possibly discussing his next loan or his meltdown with Redwood and Brant. Without hesitation, I approached him, staying out of the streetlight's glow. He noticed me at the last moment and froze. "Paul." I studied him with a predator's gaze. "Your little side deal's going well." He backed up a step, swallowing. "None of your concern." I took another step, fists clenched. "You're out of Redwood and Brant. Your debts will bury you soon. And I have proof you're tied to illegal lenders." He looked ready to bolt. "What do you want?" My voice dropped. "I want you to suffer. That includes financial ruin, possibly a stint behind bars if I leak these photos to the right person. Or maybe I share them with bigger sharks who want their money back." He shook his head, panic twisting his features. "Come on, man. Don't do this. I didn't mean to wreck your life." A grim smirk curled my lips. "Yes, you did. You saw a married woman. You took her on a table. Now your world collapses." He glanced around, desperation flickering in his eyes. "I can pay you to keep quiet. Name your price." That triggered a harsh laugh. "I'm not after a bribe. I want you choking on the consequences." He breathed faster, chest rising and falling. "Why not punch me? That's more straightforward." I stepped closer, my breath scorching the air between us. My father taught me real payback involves strategy. Bruises heal. A destroyed future doesn't. He swallowed hard. "Please." I stood there, silent for a moment, letting him tremble. Then I turned away with a low snarl. "Live your miserable life. I'll be watching from afar." I heard him exhale in shaky relief, but I twisted around and slammed my fist across his jaw. He staggered, dropping to one knee, groaning. I hovered over him, adrenaline coursing. That's a small taste of what I can do. Then I walked off, leaving him on the damp pavement. My fists shook from the impact, rage swirling in my gut. Perhaps I stooped low with that punch, but it felt like a final punctuation mark. I returned home, where I found Lauren in the living room, face pale. She noticed the bruise on my knuckles. Her lips parted in shock. "What happened?" I swept past her, ignoring her question. "Check your email tomorrow. My lawyer will send the divorce petition." She scrambled to her feet, eyes pleading. "Paul, let's talk. We shared so much." My mistake was. I whirled on her, nostrils flaring. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. You shredded my pride and loyalty. I have no compassion left. Her voice cracked. But we have children, grandchildren in the future. I cut her off with a glare. That future died when you crawled onto that conference table. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. I turned away, heading to the spare bedroom, slamming the door behind me. My heart pounded with savage triumph and lingering grief. The marriage had ended in an explosion of betrayal and vengeance. My phone chimed. Ms. Parker again. Papers drafted. Ready to file. I texted back. File them immediately. Somewhere in my chest, a dull ache pulsed. 18 years ended in a hail of shattered trust. No going back. My father's words drifted through my head. A man who stands by his principles will always have a path forward, even if it's paved with scorched earth. I heard the bedroom door creak sometime around dawn. Lauren's footsteps shuffled through the hallway, stopping near my makeshift sleeping area. She must have hovered there, unsure whether to speak. After a moment, the footsteps retreated. I stared at the ceiling, arms folded behind my head. A swirl of conflicting emotions pounded through me. Anger, betrayal, hunger for retribution, and a faint sadness. But I chose my path. By 8 in the morning, Miss Parker messaged me. Divorce petition is filed. She will receive formal notification soon. Please gather financial statements. I nodded to myself, texting back a simple acknowledgement. I stepped into the kitchen, grabbed water. Lauren leaned against the counter, wearing an old t-shirt and sweatpants, hair unkempt, eyes hollow. Her entire demeanor screamed despair. I spoke first. My attorney began the process. Prepare for paperwork. She lifted her head, tears brimming. Paul, I never expected it to end this way. 18 years. My mouth settled into a grim line. You made a choice. Consequences followed. She advanced a step, voice small. I want a chance to explain how I drifted from you. My job, stress, your distance, everything combined. I was lonely, and Ortiz flattered me. One foolish night, I cut her off with a raised hand. Stop. That is worthless. Our vows meant we tackled obstacles side by side. You decided to crawl into his arms. Her shoulders shook. I'm not blaming you. But I slammed my fist on the table, rattling it. No more words. I refuse to live with betrayal. Once the divorce finalizes, we settle finances, the house, and we part ways. She sagged against the counter, sobbing softly. No pity rose in me. She destroyed that part of my heart. A few days passed, the tension inside the house thick enough to taste. I spent my nights on the couch or in the spare room, gathering documents, receiving calls from Miss Parker. She guided me through each step, confident we would secure a favorable settlement. Redwood and Brandt's scandal continued to spread in local papers, overshadowing everything else. One afternoon, I visited the bank to confirm joint accounts and begin the process of splitting assets. The clerk recognized my name from the Redwood and Brandt gossip swirling around town. Her empathetic gaze made me bristle. Then, as I strode out, phone pressed to my ear, Vince gave me an update. Ortiz's finances hit rock bottom. Word is, the loan sharks are circling him. He might leave town. I grunted. Good. I hope he rots. Vince paused. You got what you wanted. The man is ruined. Lauren is jobless. You're about to finalize a divorce. Are you satisfied? I paused in the parking lot, scanning the horizon. Satisfied might be the wrong word, but they paid. He sighed. I understand. Take care. I climbed into my truck, drumming my fingers on the steering wheel. A swirl of uneasy thoughts passed through my mind. Revenge delivered a certain sense of closure, but the entire process left me hollow. That evening, I stepped inside my house, noticing Lauren's suitcase near the door. She stood close by, tears dried on her cheeks. I'll stay with my cousin for a while. This place belongs to you, and I can't bear this tension anymore. I folded my arms. Fine. I'll have my attorney contact you regarding the final hearing. After that, you're free." Her voice rasped. No words can fix this. I betrayed a good man. I watched her, silent, adrenaline drumming in my veins. She seemed on the verge of fainting. She hoisted her suitcase, crossing the threshold. At the doorway, she paused, gazing at me over her shoulder. Her lips trembled with words unspoken, then she slipped out. The door clicked shut behind her, and I stood in the hush, heart pounding. Over the next weeks, the divorce moved forward. Ms. Parker navigated the legal labyrinth, brandishing the affair evidence like a weapon. Lauren's representation fought to salvage something, but Redwood and Brant's scandal overshadowed any sympathy for her. The judge eventually ruled in my favor for property division, awarding me the house, most assets, and minimal spousal support. The final decree arrived with a crisp stamp. The day I held that stamped decree in my hands, an odd mixture of relief and bitterness thread through my chest. Lauren vanished from my daily life. Mutual friends extended cautious words, uncertain whether to comfort me or scorn her. She apparently found a short-term job in a smaller firm outside the city, though rumors claimed she struggled to adapt. Meanwhile, Ortiz fled the state. Word reached me that gamblers hounded him, and Redwood and Brant blacklisted him across the industry. My vengeance was complete. Months passed. I kept my focus on work. The construction site projects expanded, new deals emerged. Evenings felt strange, an emptiness in a house once filled with shared routines. The wedding photo no longer graced the mantel. I kept it buried in a drawer. One windy afternoon, I found myself on the back porch, reflecting on the path behind me. Betrayal can crush a man or forge a sharper edge. I poured a stiff drink and watched the sunset bleed across the horizon. My father's lessons resonated in my soul, reminding me strength matters more than heartbreak. Neighbors rarely glimpsed me outside these days, but I had no regrets. My life took a turn I never anticipated, hammered by betrayal, culminating in savage justice. I couldn't resurrect the trust I once had in her. I didn't want to. I sipped my drink, eyes narrowed on the fading light. A new chapter stretched ahead, uncertain but entirely mine. No illusions weighed me down. My father would have approved. If anyone threatened me or my loved ones, I would strike again, merciless as ever. My father's words rang in my mind. Stand strong. Face betrayal head on. Destroy those who would see you broken. I rose from the chair, gazing at the empty sky. Divorced, but free. Not unscarred, but still standing. That final wave of golden sunlight drifted behind the rooftops, and I stepped back inside, shutting the door with quiet resolve. The end.